I'm Jimmy. I'm the owner of Closers Radar. I want to do this video today because I think it's going to be super valuable for you because obviously you've got a script, but it's just words on a page until we understand what we need to get from it. So I want to give you just a little bit of the spiel first. Let me put this in a place so it's not hiding everything. Um, this script, once you understand it, will increase your sales close rates, no doubt about it. How do I know that? I've been in sales a long time. I've been coaching a long time. I've run my own businesses in fitness, and being the pivotal sales guy in that. I've taught other businesses how to close, and also I've done a lot with marketing services in the past. I've worked with the big names in the industry, been the kind of head of coaching behind the scenes for a lot of companies that you'll probably know about. I've also got my own little gig going on, which is this, and also I write books on sales. So that's the authority piece. That's the waffle bit. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that this is going to get you to a point whereby you've got sufficient closing, probably to scale your business. But if you want to get mastery over it and you really want to take things to the next level, the missing piece is my product, which is behind the scenes, which if you feel incentivized and energized by what you heard today and you want to kind of take things a step further, either myself or the team would be happy to speak to you, give you a demo about what we do. But essentially, this is the front of house. This is going to give you what you need in order to have really good quality conversations. However, if you really want to kind of understand like the more nuts and bolts side of things and want to take your close rate up another 10, 20%, okay, then that's what my course does behind the scenes. Feel free to have a demo. It's very reasonably priced for the amount of impact that it can have in a lot of businesses. So if you want to know whether it can help you in your business, let's have that conversation, and then there will be a link to speak to me or one of my colleagues on a calendar chat for a demo, or even if you just want like a normal chat, just to see what the crack is, right? So this is a one call close. There will be further videos for two call close, multi call close, whatever you want. Generally, because you guys are marketing gods, no doubt they've booked into your calendar. However, if you have met somebody at a trade show, that sort of thing, or out to lunch, and that you're trying to catch up with them, put out on an outbound call, then there is a derivative opening statement there. So what I want to do is talk about the general structure. I know I'm going quite quick today. I want to make it succinct. I don't want to do the waffle thing. But the way that I kind of do things differently in sales, I don't want you wasting time and having fruitless conversations with people who aren't empowered enough mentally in order to say, yes, this is the right move for me. And I don't want you to have conversations with people who just aren't qualified. So the opening phase is really about everybody feeling comfortable, everyone getting a seat, everyone doing the smiles and things like that. But before we really go into the discovery part piece, which we'll be going through in a bit more detail, we really want to make sure that the person's in the right space that they can actually do business with you. Otherwise, if you just scale your sales process whereby you're not doing this due diligence up front, you're just going to be scaling chaos, and there's going to be a lot of time wasted, which, when you're trying to run your own business, is deadly to the business, literally deadly, right? So the opening phase, what's happening over there with you, just perfunctory niceties, not going overcook it, not talking about loads of stuff, which is just going to kind of pull the call into the weeds, and everyone's like, where are we here? Is this a sales call? It's a friend zone chat? What are we? Agenda, you want to make sure that they know that this is a conversation where you're asking the questions, they're doing the answering. Then there's going to be a discovery piece, and also if what we're doing aligns with what they need, we're going to be making a proposition for them to hire our services. We want to do that, all right? Otherwise, people will just be like, yeah, that's nice, thanks, we'll go think about it. Nextly, we want to find out kind of like what frame of mind they're in, what sort of mood they're in. What were you hoping to get from a call with me today? If they're really closed off, we might need to run a different call. We might need to, call differently to somebody who's really open, really responsive. We've been chatting in the DMs over email, things like that, and they're just like kind of really warm. Then we need to ask these real high level questions just to get the sixth sense about where the prospect is and how we should be kind of negotiating the call on a more kind of like subtle skills level, right? But the main thing, the kind of meat and potatoes that I want to get stuck into straight away is the prospect assessment. And that is like, you guys are marketers, okay? So you're going to know about buyer awareness, solution awareness, problem, solution, and brand awareness. So guys, a person who's very problem aware, but they're not solution aware, they're not brand aware, they're probably not going to close on the call. So you might need to think about pushing them to the right, giving them more education, giving them more content, direct them to a webinar, whatever you guys do. Okay, so you can bring them up to a level where they're ready to close. I suspect that leads probably aren't your problem. So you want to be really sort of letting the cream flow to the top and speaking to the people who fit at a high level on your assessment. And that would be really people who are kind of very much solution aware, going into brand aware, or just brand aware would be fantastic. So these are sample questions that you could use. I mean, you can ask what questions make sense to you, but really what we're trying to identify is how much research have they done? How aware of their problem? Are they aware that your solution in terms of an outside agency is probably going to be the thing that needs to happen for them in order to get to where they're looking to go? And so how do we kind of choreograph that conversation to push them down the solution awareness line? Yeah, so the questions like, you satisfied that hiring a marketing agency is the right solution for you? Oh yeah, definitely. Why? Boom. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to be asking more urgency questions. How close are they to buy in? Things like that, right? Know, like, and trust. How long they've been following you? Have they watched a webinar? Okay, they spoke to any of the team in the past. Know, like, and trust, yeah. Recency, frequency, duration. If they've just been gobbling up about content for the last 6 months, they just saw the post that was the key to the castle for them, and they just like falling over themselves to get on chat to you. Completely different to somebody who's just come into your ecosystem. They maybe seen an ad or something like that, or just hopped on your website, haven't really digested it. Okay, so your question you need to ask yourself is, are they in a KLT place whereby I can have a functional conversation and these guys are likely to close at this juncture? Or do I need to kind of expose them to more, indoctrinate them more? Okay, so that good stuff. State of readiness. So the way I explain this is a prospect needs to have a mental and logistical set of variables in place that they're in a position whereby, yeah, you know what, like I can see the future, I can understand what this is all about, I know what the solution is to a degree where I'm comfortable. Okay, so there's an analogy I use. Imagine like standing in a ravine, okay, and it's 1,000 foot drop, and but it's a 2 foot jump. In the daytime, when you've got a mental clarity is what the end space could look like, you're probably going to make that jump despite the nerves, yeah? In the middle of the night where you can't see where you're going to end up, are you going to jump? No, okay? Because you don't know what the end space looks like. So that's when I talk about state of readiness. You can do a little eval with the industry niche vertical that you're working within and ask yourself, like, what does state of readiness actually look like for your prospect? And ask relevant questions then. Okay, do they have the bandwidth of time? Are they tied into the business? Okay, we'll talk about other blockers. But really, we want to know if you put the perfect solution in front of them there, and could they say, yeah, I'm pretty much ready to go on this. So that's what that's all about. Urgency is a parallel to is a beautiful kind of cousin, I suppose, to state of readiness, because that's pushing them a little bit further. Why is this so important to you now? What's the biggest bottlenecks that you think marketing could resolve? Okay, why is that a priority for you to fix now? Urgency. They're going to tell you and tell themselves. So that's the assessment. So what I would be doing at this stage, guys, is if people are super low KLT, super low buyer awareness, don't know what the hell's going on, they've just literally crawled out of a hole or crawled from the middle of the earth, they don't know why they're on the call, don't push for the sale. It's going to be wasting your time, right? So you want to be doing like maybe a 2-step nurture, push them to a place whereby they can review some of your content, what you do, familiarize yourself with your fulfillment, and then bring them back onto a call. Yes, the argument is, kind of, could we lose to the competition? But the thing is, they're not going to close at this stage anyway. So, you're better off not wasting your time with people who aren't ready to close. Play the numbers game. Focus on speaking to people who are ready to close. Hope that makes sense. So these are conditions, and you could say, you could almost grade these on a 1 to 5, the KLT, state of readiness, blah, blah, blah. Qualifications are like black and white. If somebody hasn't got a need for what you do, why are they here? It does happen. We all know somebody falls into your ecosystem and they just don't realize why they're there. They haven't got a need now, not qualified. Finances. Okay, if they can't fulfill, if they haven't got the finances in place in order to be able to afford your program, product, or service, even if it's like a repayment plan or OPM, like, why are they here? All right, this is just black and white. They're not qualified. Follow up when they are. There's no point taking the call any further. Desire. Have they got a priority? Is this a priority for them to change? If they can take it or leave it, that's low urgency, low desire. They're almost two sides of the same coin. If they can't give you that, why this is important to fix, there's probably not a gap. There's probably not a solid gap in order for you to build around. And it's probably chasing ghosts at this stage. Decision maker depends if they're a solo entrepreneur, solo business owner with subbies, or whether they are you know in a corporate setting. I don't know what you sell, but there might be some sort of RFP process or something of that nature, and you might need to understand, like, who are the decision makers. Is it just you? Is there CMO, CFO, whatever? Logistics, like, if it is a kind of a business you're selling to, they might have big projects, tax season, big selling season for them. Could that be preventing them from implementing change within their business? You need to know about these things, because if it's not the right time for them for some big reason, then they're not going to buy, because they've got a logical reason not to buy, because it's going to discombobulate or disorientate their business. And why would you, right? Okay, so if we just do a watershed here, if people are qualified and they're fairly, and you feel like, yeah, these people are in a place where they got state of readiness, KLT, buyer awareness, that it makes sense to them to move forward, great. Thumbs up. We're going to run through the discovery. Okay, so discovery is essentially building a gap, which I'm going to be talking about, whereby we want to know what their current state is, want to know what their desired state is, what they've been doing to make a change, if anything, what they want in a solution, what life would look like if they did have that solution, and essentially what life would look like if they didn't have that solution, as well as telling themselves they can't do it on their own. That's like the gold standard. So I'll run them through what that looks like now. The first thing is we want to discover what their situation is. Give me a quick 30,000-foot view of your company structure, your governance, things like that. Anything you would need to give me in a 30-second snapshot so I can understand, like, your current situation. What do you currently do for marketing now? Anything else? How long have you been doing it? What are the success metrics you use in your marketing? What other metrics are relevant? Okay, what are your success metrics now? CPL, LVT, whatever it is, yeah, LVC. So what are your current marketing efforts? What are they yielding in revenue? What would you want to get that revenue target to be? What would you want to get that metric to be now, and desired, and when? Because once you know, like, financial goal, financial current status and desired, or current metric and desired, and a time frame in between, now we have a very solid gap. That's how we sell the gap in. That's how we sell in business. We create a gap, and then we leverage it in certain different ways. Why is that time frame? I want to double my revenue to 50K in 6 months. Why? There's a reason behind why they said 6 months. Okay, and is marketing the only lever that needs to be pulled in order for them to hit 50K? Because what I'm trying to say is, like, if their head's a mess, and they've got, like, team problems, scaling problems, cash flow problems, all this sort of stuff. Well, cash flow is marketing, right? They're very interlinked, but it could be like a sales problem. Then we need to zoom into the problem and say, well, this is a call just about marketing. Do you think marketing could have a pivotal impact in you hitting that 50K? Yes. Do you think it could create that 50K, or do you think there'd be other factors? Or do you think it could get to something else? Well, I think it could get to like 40K. Now, what we create a bubble around the only things that we can help, and we only talk about marketing. We don't get lost in the weeds with other things we can't fulfill on. Yeah, hope that makes sense. So once we've identified what the deficit is with their current marketing and what that's yielding into, in terms of, like, drop revenue or low, cost per lead or high cost per lead, whatever it is, how's it impacting the business? How's it impacting the team? And you wearing all the hats, is it possibly having an impact on your time, energy, stress, possibly? Yeah. So we want to start real left of field and talk about the business. Then we want to talk about the people within the business. Then we want to talk about them. Because in a very logical sale like this, if we just say, is that hurting you personally or whatever, it's just a weird conversation. So we want to chunk down into it. Because we want people to talk about their personal problems, because that's ethical use of pain, and that's going to motivate them to change. When they say to themselves, yeah, I'm really hurting here, like, that's going to be the difference between them overcoming their own status quo bias at the end of the call and you reminding them about their pain is going to be like, yeah, I need to do this. So that's going to be the differentiator between you and the other competition you've got out there, which are just doing consultative selling or not even doing a good job at selling at all. And they're not making deals because people haven't got a firecracker under their butt. So when people do talk about their personal pain or the business pain or the pain they're experiencing from the team, we clarify, how do you mean by that? Can you give me an example of that? How long has that been going on? Okay, I've duplicated that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you give me an example? Okay, and that's been going on for such a long time now. Now, how's that affecting you on a day-to-day basis? Like, is that affecting your life balance? In what way, though? And like, so who's paying for that? Like, is it the family? Is it your health? Like, what's going on there? Yeah. Once we get into that sort of conversation, we're on really good ground. Don't force it. If you're new to sales, new to selling, it just feels a bit squidgy. You're having those conversations. Just role play it. Role play it with yourself, your partner, your dog, whatever, two team members, until you feel like, yeah, I'm empowered myself enough now with practice and understanding in order for me to ask these deeper questions, because those are the ones that are going to turn the key and get you over the line. They don't necessarily have to, because you can sell on the gap, but they're a nice bonus, okay? So now maybe time to make a change, possibly hypnotic questioning, leading questioning. Yeah, but why now? Why not kick the can down the road? You've been thinking about this for a long time. Oh, I've got to do it now because, bam, selling themselves. What have they been doing about a solution? Have they been looking for an agency before? If they say no, and there's been a significant time frame, why not? Are they procrastinating? Is there a lack of revenue in the business? We need to find this out because we might have missed something upstream. Or if they are procrastinating, we call them out on it. So you're a bit of a fork in the road. You can keep procrastinating. 6 months from now, your business is going to be the same or worse. Or you can overcome this procrastination, possibly take action, whether it's us or somebody else, and actually being in a far empowered state. Are you ready to do that, though? What happens if you don't? Yeah. So really putting them on the back foot. If you can find out that there's been fresh air between them having a problem and not doing anything about it, we want to know why that void is and if it's an internal thing. All right. If they have spoken to somebody in the past, okay, what results did they get? Did they get burnt? It happens all the time in marketing, right? Oh, yeah, I've done it. They're desperate to get more leads. They're desperate to get expert services, but they've been burnt. And then we have to say, like, are you willing to have a conversation with me, mono a mono, or are you going to bring the past into this? Because my concern is I could be offering the most beautiful service that's going to get you where you're looking to go, but you're going to be stuck in paralysis analysis because all you can think about is the past. I don't want that for you. Are you able to see through that and just judge me on what you see today, not on the guy that didn't have the skills in order to fulfill? And again, hold a mirror up to them, put them back on it, because these are the key objections that you're probably getting day in, day out, that you don't know how to overcome, and you don't know how to identify them, and you don't know where the hell they're so coming from. So when you can challenge them upstream, earlier in the script, and just say and give them a binary option, let the past consume you, or take a different tact. They're going to be like, yeah, you're right. You're right. You called me out on that when I get it. Okay, far more of an edgy, real conversation. Okay, so what have they done? What is their ideal criteria? Aside from more leads, everybody wants more leads, right? And I'm not going to when this isn't a conversation about having the same or less leads. Okay, but what about things if you consider things like lead quality? Okay, and kind of having the lead assessed in some way or whatever you do, but incept it, help them understand that there's other things, the more leads, get them to explore what they're actually looking for other than more leads. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our strengths in. You might have a great track record, loads of testimonies, transparency, communication. You could say, no, people work with us because of good track record, lead guarantee, speed of delivery, communication, transparency. But for you, Mr. Prospect, what is really important? And then they're going to cherry pick what you just said and say communication is important. You're going to say why. What does that look like? What does good communication look like? Because once you know it, you can feed it back to them in their presentation, and they're going to think, "Wow, these guys know exactly what I need. But I really want this level of communication because last time I couldn't get hold of anyone, and these guys are on the ball. I want to work with these guys." Yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push to the future. So we've talked about, what the current state is, what the current revenue success metrics are. Now we're going to go to the promised land, and let's say that we could deliver those success metrics. aside from something they may already would have said, i.e. less stress, how do you think it would benefit like the business as a whole? How do you think it would benefit like certain aspects within certain teams within the business? How do you think the business? How do you think the closers would benefit from you actually having better quality and higher volume of leads? Would it affect churn rate, retention rate, that sort of thing? Okay, good, perfect. And I suppose you being the figurehead of the business, knowing all this was taken care of, and you had good lead flow every month, could there be like a peace of mind, stress reduction element possibly as well? Yeah. And they're going to be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So what are we doing? We're going into that right side of the brain, out of the more logical binary sort of stuff, which is still very important. You still probably close deals on it, but we're going into the right side of the brain, which is like making them feel, oh, this could be the answer. See my hands clenching. Oh, this guy, I think he's tapping into something here. Quite excited about the prospect of working with this person. And then what we do is once we've taken them to the promised land, we close the loop. Okay, they would have told you, like, or should have been quite open about like their failures in terms of their marketing to date. So we just what we do is then we show them promised land through the door, and then what we do is like we stand in front of the door and say, yeah, just be real with me, Fred. Seeing as though you've got this guy working in house, he's done a few courses, but your cost per lead is still ridiculous, and your sales team are scratching around for leads halfway through the month. How likely is it that you're going to hit that 50k time frame, 50k revenue target or goal within that 6 month window that you said you wanted to? Just be real with me. I don't think we will. Bang, stand in the way, or they are standing in the way of their own success, and they tell themselves, which is super powerful. And then we use an impact. Have you thought about the possible ramifications of to your business if this low lead flow or high cost per lead, or whatever it is, continues for another 6, 12, 18 months? What does that look like? Yeah. So if there was a right marketing solution came along, it would be important for you to look at it closely then. Yeah. Got it. So what has that done? Now we've got to discovery. We've taken them through a beautiful little journey, identified the gap, taken them into the pain where appropriate, taken them to the promised land, closed the door on them, slammed the door in their face. We're in the perfect position for us to say, look, well, from what you've told me, with your current marketing efforts failing, and it's causing your sales team to sort of be scratching on for leads, and you're probably going to affect retention before long. With your permission, now I can fix everything from the inception level of marketing, and remove those obstacles from your business. Can I show you what that looks like? Yes, you've gone from Mr. Curious Discovery to Mr. I'm the guy, or Mrs. or Ms. I'm the guy to get or girl to get the job done. All right. So what we do then is we're very succinct with our presentation. We use a very set structure, because here it's not about bells and whistles. It's about imparting information so that they can get this epiphany aha moment. All right. Okay. So remember how you said that your cost per lead is very high, and it's causing your ad spend to just absolutely drain by halfway through the month. And as a result, your sales team is scratching around and probably looking elsewhere. Well, what we do is, and then you can say about all the magic that you do, which basically means for you, you're going to be able to stretch your ad spend out, get far more leads in the calendars, keep your sales team happy, and what that means for you specifically is, like, you're going to get more revenue, have the opportunity to make more revenue because you're going to have more conversations with more qualified prospects. Does that make sense? Like, what's your thoughts on that? And then we go through the different features. Remember how you said earlier we discussed another problem they had, and then you put how your solution will resolve that, and how it will help them specifically in their business. And then we check for buy-in. What questions have you got for that? How do you feel about that? Because this is a temp check. If it hasn't landed, they're not going to buy. These features have to land, unless they're a lay down and they're going to buy anyway, which is like 1 in 10, which you don't want to have like a 10% close rate, right? Or perhaps you do. I don't know. But it's better to have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, right? So what we do then is we boom, boom, boom. And then what we do is, we say the logistics of working with us are X. Any questions on that? So how we put into your business is like this. And the investment needed for us to get you to 50K within the next 6 months is 5K a month for the next 3 months. And then we'll say any questions on that, because that's where we're going to find out whether they're having a wobble or not. Yeah. If they say no, straightforward, great. We go for the close. No, we don't go for a close. Okay. So what we do is, do you feel like this could be do you feel the solution could resolve the issues then? Yeah. Okay. If they say humming and hawing, Why not? Okay, you could say on a scale of 1 to 10, how close do you think this is to solving your problems? Anything less than an 8, you're in 9 even, you're on iffy ground. You want to know why not a 10 and handle that concern before you ask for the order because the deal won't close. Yeah. And if they say yes, why? What's the key to the castle? If everything seems like they're going to buy, go for the close. Even if there's not really feel like it's gonna, ideally you want to get the objections out the way. But if you feel like you don't know where you are, just go for the close. You go for the close in any circumstance, really. Really, next step, if things appropriate, we take practical next steps, i.e., we take an appropriate form of payment today, book our onboarding call. I'll send you some homework to complete before that call, and at that stage, we can get you to a place whereby um, we can get started and get you on that runway so that you're making 50K within the next 6 months. Would that be appropriate? Bang, straight to the point. Can we do business? All right. If they wobble, okay, this I do objection handling 101 because you've done a good discovery. There's not many to isn't because you had like a really functional conversation. A lot of time calls go sideways because they just don't believe in you. But because you've had such a structured conversation, there's really an opportunity for us to weed out like the certain variables that are going off in their head that are stopping them from buying. Okay, so you've got a desire to change. Would that be fair to say? Yes. Rule that out. You're the decision maker on this, correct? It's your call. Okay, let's rule that out. Do you believe that we can solve your problem? If they say no, then we've got to reframe that. It could be a burn thing, it could be a trust thing, which we'll cover. Do you believe that you have the capacity to embrace an agency to come in and do what we ask, which is very light touch, in order to receive those leads? Yeah. Okay. So they believe you can do it. They believe they can do it and embrace you to bring you on as lead gen partners. Okay. Be real with me. Does the budget work? Yeah. Okay. So that's all boxes ticked, man. Just be real with me. You believe we can do it. The money works. It's your decision to make. You need it. You're not getting anywhere without it. Just be real with this. This is just like a little bit of apprehension, a little bit of nerves. Call it out. Say it how it is. Because most of the time, when you've done a good discovery, that's all it is. You don't need to do wild and wacky stuff. You just hit them. And then what you do is you hit them with a reframe. And I've got 20 of them here. Yeah. And then I would say, like, yes, there's, on my course and things like that, we go down the rabbit hole with objection handling, but this is going to take you up, 10, 20% uptick in your close rate for a lot of people just by having a really structured conversation anyway. All right. So I wanted to keep this under 30 minutes because I didn't want to blow your minds. I just want to remind you of, the value proposition that we got waiting behind the wings. Maximize this. This is great. But what I will say is, if you really want to take things to the next level, my digital product, as well as getting access to me, is going to absolutely allow you to pour fuel all over your sales, because you'll be able to pick up so much more and have the more nuanced conversations, pick up on the non-buyer language, ask better questions. And if sales is your pinch point within your business, just book a call with me or one of my team. Let's see if it's for you. It's reasonably priced. It's no bullshit. Excuse my language. No hard pressure sales. We're here to serve and here to add value and here to see you win. So if that makes sense, I look forward to seeing you, or one of my team will look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.